in their veins. Mackie and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Reckless speculation.
Oh, that's right. It's not Thursday, but it is Tuesday, and that means bonus scoop time. Zolgad, Declan Goff, and the man in the middle there, Darren Doogie Wilson, Channel 5 Eyewitness News and Scoop podcast fame. Doogie, you're just getting back from, I believe, Mayo Clinic Square, where the Wolves draft class for 2022 introduced. And since we are nearing the beginning of NBA free agency, which starts Thursday evening, and I'm guessing will be in full swing by Friday, just empty out your NBA/Wolves notebook as far as your thoughts, observations, and reckless speculation.
Absolutely. Good to see you, Judd. Good to see you, Declan. Just back from a combination, Target Center and Mayo Clinic Square, the introductory news conference, Wendell Moore Jr., Walker Kessler, Josh Minott. That was in the lobby at Target Center. Then I was able to sit down with each of the three for one-on-one conversations. That was over at Mayo Clinic Square. I will tell you, first impressions, really, really solid. Walker Kessler, his grandpa played for the Gophers way back when, early 60s. Jay Kessler. His dad was born in Minneapolis, then moved to Redwood Falls. So Walker Kessler, as he said, has some Minnesota niceness already in him, an extrovert. Really good dude.
One of us.
Like, I remember years ago, Kevin Love, when he was either a rookie or second-year guy, he put on social media, hey, meet me at the corner of Hennepin and Lyndale in Uptown. I've got some shoes to give out. I ran over there with one of our camera guys, John Gross, one of my favorite people on the planet. We were in the office. We were free. So, like, we hopped in the car. We hustled over to Uptown. There were hundreds of people. Like, I can see Walker Kessler doing something along those lines. Like, super, super personable. Wendell Moore Jr., an introvert. He was good in our conversation, but he admitted, like, he's shy at times. He's also really tight with Trey Jones. He said when Trey is back from San Antonio, I presume Trey is playing Summer League, although I guess I didn't even check. But at some point here this summer, whether it's after Vegas Summer League or maybe even before, he is going to team up with Trey for some workouts here in the Twin Cities. He's also tight with Rochester native Matthew Hurt. He has a relationship with Tyus Jones, Gary Trent Jr., right? Once in the Duke family, you know, it's kumbaya, right? I mean, if you're a Dookie, you know, everybody loves one another. He also has a good relationship with Theo John, Champlain Park High School, who will play for the Wolves Summer League team, although I was with Theo on Friday. He's dealing with a little bit of a lower body injury, so hopefully he's okay when practice ramps up here in the coming days. They'll practice for a few days before heading out to Vegas. Their first game in Vegas is like July 7th or July 8th. Jeff Newton, the Iowa Wolves coach, will be the Summer League coach. Then on Josh Minott, not a social media guy. But, like, I was super impressed. John Hollinger of The Athletic said that Minott, who the Wolves got at pick 45 after some maneuvering, I thought I was watching the Vikings draft all over last Thursday with the Wolves draft. But anyway, Minott said, like, he's not on social media. Like, so he's super personable, but he's not into social media. But anyway, John Hollinger said that he feels like Minott should have been a lottery pick, that there's a lot more there than what we saw in Memphis. I will tell you, look for Josh Minott. I don't think this is groundbreaking news, but look for him to sign a two-way contract. That if you look at the Wolves, you can only have so many standard NBA deals. Wendell Moore Jr., Walker Kessler, first-round picks, they will get standard contracts. That's the idea. Now, once in a blue moon, you see a first-round pick sign a unique contract, but my understanding is both guys will sign standard NBA contracts. So you only have so much room for contracts. So look for Minott to sign a two-way. McKinley Wright, who was here last year on a two-way contract, Champlain Park High School, he is now a free agent. Judd, look for him to play Vegas Summer League with a different Western Conference team. So it looks like his time here in Minnesota, whether with the Wolves, the Iowa Wolves, it looks like McKinley Wright's time here in Minnesota is over. But I do think the team that he plays Vegas Summer League with, I'll be able to put that out on Thursday. I do think there's a decent chance he ends up signing a two-way contract with that team. Bouncing all over the place. Josh Okoige, I put this on Twitter the other day, Judd. The Wolves will not tender him a qualifying offer, so that means he will hit the open market. Jalen Noel, Naz Reid have options on their contracts for next year. The Wolves plan on having both guys, right? Like, even if you were going to trade one of those two, like those contracts are super team friendly. Like each guy is at like $2 million. Both guys can carve out a role. Like I think there's more there with Jalen Noel. Like you may feel this is a completely nuts statement, but I really don't think Jalen Noel is that far off from Tyler Hero, who was the 6th man of the year with the Miami Heat. Clearly, right now, today, yes, of course you would take Tyler Hero. I'm just saying, like, don't sleep on Jalen Noel. And maybe he needs a change of scenery at some point, although Chris Finch, after today's press conference, was speaking him up big time, unprompted, by the way, talking about how he needs to work on finding more of a role for Jalen Noel. But, like, it's a no-brainer. You exercise the team option on Jalen Noel, on Nasri, but there's a deadline this week. The Wolves have a trade exception that is set to expire later this week, nearly $5 million. I checked with a team source a couple days ago, so I get it. It's fluid. Let me read verbatim what this individual told me about the trade exception. More often than not, these trade exceptions just end up expiring, but sometimes you can use these trade exceptions. Portland just used a trade exception, right, to help land Jeremy Grant. So here is what somebody told me about the trade exception. Anything possible, but not looking like it at this point. So that's in terms of using the trade exception. The Wolves can sign Karl-Anthony Towns to a supermax here as soon as, the coming days. The Wolves are expected to offer him the supermax. He's expected to sign the supermax. So look for Cat to be under team control for 6 more seasons. He has 2 seasons left on his current deal. The supermax, 4 years, $211 million, then would be tacked on to those 2 years. So he would be under team control for 6 more years. And free agency, as you mentioned, begins on Thursday. Trade talks will continue to ramp up. The Wolves are still scouring the market. I've been asked, hey, what about Taurean Prince? He wants to be back. He's the big name Wolves unrestricted free agent. Jake Layman is also an unrestricted free agent. Heck, Greg Monroe is an unrestricted free agent, but we don't need to focus on those two. Hopefully Layman can land a job somewhere else. There's one team interested. I can't say the team quite yet, but if things fall through, like Layman may have to beg for an opportunity. It's just unfortunate after he really didn't play here the last couple of years. But Taurean Prince should have a decent market. He wants to be back. My understanding is, yes, he is on the Wolves' radar, but they're also looking at some other possibilities with that mid-level exception. They really are still looking for toughness and rebounding. So while Walker Kessler can bring some of that maybe in small spurts next season, but let's not have these big expectations for Walker Kessler as a rookie. The Wolves are still looking for some girth, some size, some toughness, some rebounding help. So that, it appears, is taking a priority over Taurean Prince, but you need to have a plan B, C, D, right? Like free agency moves really, really fast. By Thursday night, we will have news, right? We will have news of verbal agreements, right? Like if we chat on Friday morning, July 1st, there will be a decent amount of NBA news already. So you need to have contingency plans. So while Prince is on the Wolves' radar, my sense is he is not plan A.
Speaking of that, when we chat a week from now, do you expect that DAngelo Russell will still be on the Timberwolves roster?
Well, I've never thought that they were, quote, shopping him like Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer suggested, but semantics, right? Like he is available, but who wants him? Like I've told you, Washington doesn't want him. Philadelphia, for example, never has had interest in DAngelo Russell. Yeah, maybe New York. Maybe Atlanta, just in terms of the Hawks are looking to do a few different things. Maybe Indiana if they blow things up, just looking for that expiring contract. But DAngelo, the player, outside of maybe the Knicks, I'm not aware of a team that is yearning to have DAngelo, and yearning is a strong word even for New York, on the roster next year. Now, in DAngelo's defense, you look at his last year with the Brooklyn Nets, Judd, that was a really good season, right? He was uber motivated in a contract year. So he could be uber motivated wherever he is, whether it's here or elsewhere. So this is what I'm talking about. Do I think the Wolves would love to find a way to trade for Dejounte Murray of San Antonio? Judd, I do. And in just about any scenario where Murray lands here, Russell lands somewhere else, right? You need that contract to make some money things work, right? The Wolves have some maneuverability, but like they're not going into the luxury tax. They're just not that sort of team right now. You know, if they make a big jump, if they're a Final Four team in the West next season, maybe a year from now you would entertain the idea of going into the luxury tax. But you're not doing that right now. Glenn is not doing that. He did that after he approved the trade to bring DAngelo here, gave up some pieces of that luxury tax pie. He's not doing that again. He's just not. And he's still the majority owner until December of 2023. So Glenn is not going back into the luxury tax. So like any scenario, yeah, they've talked to Utah about Rudy Gobert, right? So if you're bringing in Rudy Gobert, DAngelo's going to go. So like you need that contract to make some things work. By the way, on Gobert, I'd still be surprised if he landed here, but Dell Demps, who's now in Tim Connolly's front office, they worked together in New Orleans. Dell Demps was just a Utah Jazz assistant. He's the one driving the Gobert bus. I'm told Dell Demps in the Wolves front office is a big fan of Rudy Gobert. And on Dejounte Murray, you've got the Clutch Sports connection. Marquise Watts is now in the Wolves front office. He used to work for Clutch. You've got Anthony Edwards here. So there's a relatively strong Clutch Sports pull. Dejounte Murray is a Clutch Sports client. So that's where, just connecting some dots. Put it this way. The Clutch people wouldn't mind if Dejounte Murray landed here with Anthony Edwards.
Interesting. Dukes, at the end of the day, is your feeling that Tim Connolly wants to make an immediate splash, or because of his experience, do you think that he would be more comfortable actually observing, watching, and then a splash would more likely be made a year from now?
Well, I mean, they've checked in on all these stars, right? So he's willing to execute one of these deals, right? So then you would give up flexibility next summer. But like that's where they have all these plans A, B, C, D, E.
Right.
Like there's legit Dejounte Murray interest, right? But there's some national steam, not me personally, but some others put out there. Bleacher Report guy Fisher, the ABC sports anchor in Atlanta, who's got presumably strong Atlanta Hawks sources. Both those two gentlemen put out on Monday night that the buzz is Dejounte Murray is darn near an Atlanta Hawk right now. Now, I've not heard that. I've not heard that at all, Judd. So I do not have Dejounte Murray to Atlanta steam at all. But like if Murray lands in Atlanta, maybe you just sign, a big tough guy, whoever that might be for the mid-level. Add some toughness that way, then maintain maximum flexibility a year from now. I was told, Judd, by somebody over there, that having a good amount of flexibility next summer certainly is appealing. But again, that's not groundbreaking, right? Of course it's appealing. Right? If you can have maximum flexibility summer of 2023, that's hard to bypass. But if you have an opportunity to bring in a legit star now, somebody who's an upgrade over DAngelo or somebody who slots in the front court that can help you now, sure. You do that because, this isn't just my opinion. It's the opinion of some of those, at least at Mayo Clinic Square. The status quo isn't good enough. If you just run this thing back, let's say you bring in Isaiah Hartenstein or Chris Boucher, right, with the mid-level or close to that. Somebody of that ilk. Somebody that's a rotation guy, somebody that can help you, but, not a top 4, top 5 type guy. You're going to be lucky to roll back and win 46. Are you really going to get back to 46? Right? And even if you do, let's say you get to 46, 47, 48 wins. That still doesn't put you in the top 6. Their true goal is to get into the top 4. Home court advantage in the first round. But the status quo isn't going to get you there. It's just not. The Clippers are going to be a lot better next year. Are the Lakers going to be this bad? New Orleans presumably is going to get better. I'm curious to see what happens in Phoenix. But Phoenix still is going to be, in my opinion, a good or great regular season team. Dallas is going to be good. Okay, what does Utah do? Not sure. Denver gets back Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., some other nicked up guys. Denver should be pretty good with my guy Ryan Saunders now on staff. So you look at the landscape of the Western Conference, clearly Golden State is going to be really good, right? So it's hard. The Western Conference is not slowing down. Does Portland potentially have another move or two in them? I think they bring back Nurkic. I think they bring back Simons. But like, is there another move, right? And Lillard is healthy. Like, Portland could, like at least be in that 7, 8, 9 mix, right? Still curious to see what happens in San Antonio. Like, to me, based on what they did draft-wise, Judd, like, to me, it's when, not if, Murray is getting traded. Like, if it's not now, maybe it's at the trade deadline, but, like, a big move like that typically happens in the offseason, not in season. Mm-hmm. So, like, I absolutely can see some sort of Murray trade happening. But just know this, like, Wolves fans, like, here's the headline because I'm continuing to be asked about this on social media. The Wolves are very interested in Dejounte Murray. They have had dialogue with the San Antonio Spurs.
All right, sir. From the Wolves to the Twins, what can you tell us about what I would consider to be, no matter what the reason, a major surprise that occurred on Sunday when news broke that Wes Johnson was departing after the series, the 5 games that they're playing in Cleveland, for the LSU pitching coach job? A lateral move with a pay bump, I get that, but still, a major league pitching coach taking a college job in season and departing immediately is news.
It is. And, like, he deserves credit. Now, they have so many people over there. Like, I was talking to somebody that was high up in the Terry Ryan regime. If you compare the infrastructure of the front office when Terry Ryan was running things compared to now, it is remarkable how many more people, how many more departments, from an analytical standpoint. Just, it is night and day, right? Just the amount of bodies they have. So, like, losing one person, like, shouldn't impact a ton, but, like, Wes had his fingerprints on so many things they implemented, going all the way down to rookie league ball, right? So, like, he had his fingerprints all over so many things. You look at, there's many ways to measure, pitching success, but there has been pitching success under his leadership. Like, he did a lot of good. I do take him at face value that his 12-year-old daughter, like, this will be an opportunity to spend more time with her. Not that a college job isn't demanding, but you will have a little bit more free time. Like, the grind of being a major league pitching coach, it is endless. Like, you're at the ballpark lunchtime-ish. You're not out of there sometimes until midnight-ish. It's every single day.
It's the timing. It's not the fact that he is departing. It's the timing of the departure.
Correct.
Is the story.
Yeah, well, I mean, LSU said, we need you now, right? From a recruiting standpoint, we want you to start forming bonds with some of the pitchers you'll be working with. Some of those guys might be in the Cape Cod League or wherever. Like, you may need to travel and connect with some of these guys. Like, we need you now. We'll take care of you financially. This is a good gig, but, like, we can't wait until November. So it was, take it or leave it. And that's where, Wes said, hey, just from a personal standpoint, like, this works out well. The Twins at one point said, is there anything we can do? And just talks never went anywhere because Wes was like, I've already made up my mind. Like, yeah, I don't care if you're offering. It never got to this point where the Twins said, hey, we'll give you another $200,000 or something like that. Like, it never got to that point. The Twins did, though, at one point just say, hey, is there any more we can do? Like, are we not doing enough for you? Can we do more? I had one person ask me on Twitter, like, was Wes, like, on his way out? No. Like, the Twins wanted him here for a while. Like, the Twins really, really love him. They do. Like, they didn't want to lose him. This wasn't the Twins on the cusp of firing their pitching coach or anything crazy, and he got ahead of the game in that regard. No, not at all.
Right.
Like, they wanted him here. But this is very much, family-related, lifestyle-related. A lot of the Twins front office didn't find out until Saturday. There were players that didn't find out until they were on the airplane on Sunday flying to Cleveland, right? But I will tell you, Jed, like, going back and forth with 3 people very close to Wes, players, some front office people, not one person said that SOB or he screwed us. Like, to a man, all 3 people I went back and forth with, Judd, were like happy for him. Yeah, the timing's crazy, but, like, I can't fault a man for doing what he feels is best for his family. So I'm just telling you, to a man, 3 people that have strong opinions that I feel like I have really good relationships with. I think they would have told me if they were pissed off, and none of the 3 suggested that.
More Twins news. What else you got in that
well,
notebook?
Matt Canarino is now down in Fort Myers. He visited Dr. Keith Meister last week, top Twins pitching prospect. He has been cleared. The official injury is, give me a second. Oh, geez, I should have had this written down. Flexor pronator strain.
Oh, yeah.
It's an elbow injury, but
Yep.
Flexor pronator strain. So no official timetable, but it is encouraging that he's now down in Fort Myers, able to throw.
Okay.
Randy Dobnak still trying to figure out what's going on with the finger. That's just a really super unfortunate situation. I mean, imagine, like today, is Cole Sands starting a game or is it Josh Winder starting a game?
I believe Winder.
Okay, so Winder's fine, but think about all the people that they've had start games this year or make appearances. Like Randy Dobnak would have helped them this year. So it's super unfortunate. Miguel Sano has been ramping up more and more baseball activity-wise, so he's about set. In fact, I think he was ready days ago, but maybe strategically the Twins are waiting a bit, but he's feeling pretty good. Jorge Polanco, he's feeling good. I know he's not in the lineup with this day game, but he's ready to go. So I would hope he's in the lineup tonight. If he's not in the lineup tonight, hopefully he's in the lineup Wednesday night.
So where do we expect Sano to start his rehabilitation assignment?
Good question. I will dig on that. Okay. Do you just keep him there in Fort Myers? I mean, to me, you bring him back here to town and you bring him to St. Paul. I don't see the benefit of him seeing Florida State League pitching. Right, he may as well see some AAA pitching.
Once he's set to come back here, what's his role? Off the bench, DH sometimes, first.
Yeah,
base
I mean it's not an everyday role. Yeah,
No.
I mean I think he's going to be in there against lefties, right? And maybe not even every day. I mean there's going to be a role. Not sure I see him on the roster next year, but for the rest of this year there is some sort of role. But I don't think it's an everyday role. I'm burying the lead somewhat when you bring up the Twins. Trade talk has picked up some. They've engaged the Reds. The Reds have some arms, Castillo, some others. There's been some dialogue there. They've had dialogue on and off with the Oakland A's going back to right after the lockout was lifted, going back to March. At one point, maybe this is old, maybe it's out there, but I haven't seen it anywhere. At one point, the Twins felt like they were making progress, not only in a Montes trade, but also Sean Manaea. So before Manaea went to San Diego, there was one scenario where the Twins thought, hey, not only can we bring in Montes, we will also bring in Manaea. Now, this was before they traded for Sonny Gray, because Chase Petty would have been in that package among a few guys going to the A's. So the Twins' first-round pick a year ago, Petty, that was a 1-for-1. Petty to the Reds, Sonny Gray here. So this was before Sonny Gray was traded here. So, Sonny Gray's been good when he's been healthy, right? So imagine, Gray not being here, but they did at one point feel like they were making progress. But I was also told, for myriad reasons, the Oakland A's are a tough front office to deal with.
I can only imagine when you're trying to dump as aggressively as they are that they might.
Well,
be
there was all sorts of things. At one point, the Twins had trade interest in Chris Bassett, who ended up with the New York Mets.
Right.
But at one point, the A's said, "Yeah, we're going to maybe keep him." And then, literally, it was within 48 hours they had executed a trade with the Mets. Right? So, there was some hemming and hawing, and yeah, but it's still when not if that the A's are going to trade Montes. So, the Twins' interest is known now. There's going to be 7-8 teams in the mix on Montes, right? So, no guarantees that the Twins can find a happy medium and land Montes. I will tell you, I am told the Oakland A's are fans of Spencer Steer, infielder, St. Paul Saints, third-round draft pick of the Twins a couple years ago. He's played some shortstop in St. Paul, but he definitely profiles more as a second baseman or third baseman. I was told maybe more so a second baseman, but there definitely is some interest in Steer. I got some background the other day on Austin Martin that there are a couple Twins people that are convinced his on-base percentage, his batting average, would certainly be a lot better than it is right now if they just let him be him before they're trying to unearth more power. Because, I know some Twins people that say he's not a major league shortstop. Forget the bat, just from a defensive standpoint, he's not a shortstop in the majors. So then where do you put him? I had one person suggest he may ultimately be a left fielder. Right? So, you think about the profile you want of a big league left fielder, there has to be some power there.
Well,
and so they've tried to change some things up there in Wichita, and it's messed with his swing a little bit where, the numbers are not good. You look at the Austin Martin numbers, and he's 23 years old. He's not that young anymore, right? Because he was a college guy at Vanderbilt. But, the numbers are below pedestrian, but it's because he's trying some new things. That there is a belief if, the Twins say, okay, this this plan for us trying to unearth this power that we think you might have. Okay, it's not working. Go back to being the player you were at Vanderbilt or when you were coming up through the Blue Jays system. Like, there are Twins people who feel like, you know what, that wouldn't be a problem. Like, he can still be a pretty good on-base guy, right? And he can steal some bases. But he may be a utility guy. Like, there may not be much beyond, utility guy. But then, hey, you look at Jose Barrios, look at his year. He got shelled the other day again. And the Twins didn't come close to making him the offer. The Blue Jays did, 7-130. Like, the Twins were just not comfortable paying Barrios that sort of money. The other player they got in that trade, Simeon Woods Richardson, is throwing the ball well in Wichita. Like, he is a guy that is going to help the Twins at some point.
Clean out that notebook before we talk to you on Thursday, Dukes.
In Ndamukong Suh, there is a belief that the Vikings will make him an offer, but closer to July 25th or 6th. So the Vikings hit the practice field in Eagan July 26th. Maybe it's July 23rd. But point is, we're talking here on June 28th. The Vikings have not made him an offer as we sit here today, but there is a belief that an offer is coming. Doesn't mean he will accept the offer, but that there is a belief the Vikings will eventually, sometime after the 4th of July, closer to training camp, that the Vikings will extend him an offer. I also checked on Ed Ingram. He's one of the two rookies still unsigned. Zero progress on that front. But, until it's July 24th, I wouldn't be overly worried about the Vikings not having signed Ed Ingram or Andrew Booth Jr.
Awesome stuff. We'll talk to you Thursday, Darren. Thank you very much.
Okay. See you, boys. Bye-bye.